Guys, welcome to the channel. It's now just after the Italian test on Sunday. I just thought I'd get around to something that's been taking quite a few headlines, and that's the war of words between Rassie-Erasmus and Warren Gatland. A lot going on there. Of course, we thought this was long over. We thought Gats had forgotten about Rassie and life had moved on. But not so. It seems when you do lose a semi-final for the World Cup in 2019 and a Lions series to another coach, you take it rather personally and you carry on with it. So, so just going through the whole saga, rather ridiculous, to be very honest. First of all, it started off with a Telegraph story of Warren Gatland saying that Rassie had spied on them in the 2021 Lions tour. Now, that was the strangest of tours, let's be very honest. It's COVID restrictions, the stadiums were empty, it was horrible. But basically, to sum up the story, Gats says that Rassie basically had somebody filming them in Arabella before the first test. The reason they know that, he says, is twofold. One, he says, the first move that they pulled with a skip pass to Elliot Daly, the read him perfectly and monstered him. And he said the second thing is because the stadium was empty, they could hear the calls coming from the Springbok coaches, and they could hear that they knew what their game plan was. They also took a photo of a piece of paper that Rassie had in his hand on the field as waterboy. And apparently this was the smoking gun that told them that they knew exactly their game plan. So what did the Lions do? They moved all their training indoors for the rest of the tour, which is quite ironic because that first test that the one is complaining about, they actually won. And then they moved the next ones indoors, and then they lost the next two. I don't know. Anyway, maybe nothing, maybe it's just coincidence, but it seems that way. But let's have a look at the saga, and we'll go through a couple of this. Let's start off with the famous piece of paper, and we'll show it to you. Here's the Telegraph story in question. That's the piece of paper in question as well that they say that they photographed and they blew it up, and from that they could see that Rassie knew all their moves. I'm not quite sure that's not just a recipe for milk tart, but it seems if you can decipher that writing, well done on that one, because it certainly seems a bit far-fetched. But the Lions tour, as we know, was very full of recriminations, a lot of things happening at that stage, and a lot to go on as well. And Warren Gatland was quite a sour coach on that Lions tour. It wasn't the most savoury Lions tour, and I know that a lot of the British press played along as well. This prompted this response from Rassie on Twitter, basically saying, "Damn, they managed to decipher our Afrikaans game plan. Kudos to you, great spying." Interesting. With that blow up, I'm not sure how much you can see. It's obviously something that they know what's going on there, but weird. Looks like the second line there, and there's not much exactly you can take out of it. Not that I can take out of it anyway. So well done to Gats for deciphering that as well. This was the hit in question, and now it doesn't really seem to be that big a thing that the Springboks work on a rush defence anyway. So Kanye shooting out and tackling Elliot Daly, it doesn't seem like this was such a move that was so good that groundbreaking in its effect. Any team with a rush defence, the 13 would go and shoot out like that, and it's quite funny. That's the big thing that Gats makes of it. Well, good to him if that's the case. And of course, dripping with sarcasm was the fact that Rassie released this with the soundtrack of Zombie, which is of course South African fans obviously sing Rassie instead. He's in your head, and quite apt for this. I thought it was quite funny when I saw it, to be honest. All this seems to have done is get some grief, because as Harry points out here, conspiracy theorists, it's not exactly brain surgery to work out that it's going to go to the 13 there, as he does with the graphic. And there's some other commentators I just want to add here as well that also had a bit of a go. On Twitter, Scrubbing Flav pointing out that since Warren Gatland last won a test match, Rassie's won a World Cup, Rugby Championship, 2 Qatar Airways Cups, I think that's probably 3 now, a Freedom Cup, a Mandela Plate, and went to the Autumn Nation Series unbeaten. Let's leave that there. Somebody I respect on Twitter, Rugby, saying that Yeah, what I said just now. Basically, that they lost the first test, but then they took training indoors, and then the Springboks won the second and third test. So the argument doesn't quite make sense, does it? Thought interject a bit of humour here as well. To the comedian Rory Petzer posted this on Twitter as well. It's also worth. I think it sums up the feelings of a lot of South Africans. But yeah, have a watch.
Champions, good morning. Sorry, man. We have to address something very quickly, like very, very important. So I don't know if you know, former Wales coach Warren Gatland, wait for it, he's accused Rassie of renting a house in Cape Town in 2021 to spy on the British and Irish Lions who were training. Now, firstly, do you know what it costs to rent a house in Cape Town? Do you honestly think the Springboks have enough money to rent a house in Cape Town just to spy on another team training? Guys, even buying a cappuccino in Cape Town is a stretch. Now you're saying they rented a whole house to look... No, guys, please. No, man. No. Secondly, in Afrikaans, there's a saying, jy maak jou naam gat, okay? Warren, Gatland. You're now Gatland, want jy maak jou naam gat. Jy is nou van die Gatland. It's Warren from Gatland. It's no more Warren Gatland. For the rest of our lives, it's Warren Gatland. Want hy's van die land van gatte. Hy's a gat. Yo, Warren Gatland, as if the last 10 years of your coaching career weren't embarrassing enough. Now you're going to do this. Yo, champions. Yo, I'd hate to be Welsh today. I spy with my little eye, something beginning with G. Gatland. I love you. 2-0.
This prompted this response from Rassie on Twitter as well, saying that in 2019 the team were evacuated from the hotel, the Hilton in Cardiff, where they normally stayed, about I think it was 3:52 a.m. And while that they were there, all our notes and plans were photographed and the whiteboard sheets taken. And then they were forced out again in a second fire alarm at 6 a.m. Not quite interesting. It was chronicled by Matt Pearce at that time and reported on by Wales Online, but that's the allegation that it sort of was rather a plan to get the box out of the hotel so they could photograph their plans. Interesting. Now, guys, this is nothing new. Rassie and Gats have been having this to and fro since the Lions tour. Of course, there's intense rugby rivalry, but I really felt that Rassie had moved on probably from this. So I sort of don't know what prompted Gats to come say this. And why now? Why 4 years later? Surely if that's what happened during the Lions tour, you bring it up at the time and you make a thing of it. He certainly had no problem, if you remember right, bringing up the fact that he was very unhappy about Marius Jonker. Of course, he didn't do it directly, as you'll see in these screenshots of papers. He told several of the British journos on tour. Now, I've been on enough tours to know those type of stories don't come around just by accident. When they say Gats is furious at Marius Jonker, they would have been told that he was furious, and that was to get the word out. That he never said it publicly, he never said it to any journal or any press conference, but he certainly made sure that there was a lot of pressure on Marius Jonker ahead of that first test. Of course, straight after that first test, Rassie released that infamous video, which got him banned eventually, and of course set the world alight. And I know there's not a lot of love lost with in the Northern Hemisphere Rassie as well, and there's still people that have loads of grudges against him. But surely, I mean, it's something to move on from, because that was 4 years ago. Now, I know the Lions tour is on now, and that's probably why it's come to resurfaced again. But it just seems like really a clickbait headline, clickbait article. And if there was any truth to it, bring it up. Show the evidence. I mean, saying that you photographed a piece of paper and you thought somebody was spying on you isn't really evidence. I know there's a lot of paranoia amongst coaches. Not the first time I've dealt with somebody or heard somebody say that somebody had spied on them. We've had these allegations over. And to be honest, you go to any practice and you see how paranoid some of those coaches are. They do a sweep around the stadium, most of them with security guards, make sure that nobody's sitting in a suite, and that's why they train at strange places at strange times, and they certainly look out for people filming them. I just not sure it really happens still in the modern day and age, unless I get seeing any evidence of it. I don't think it does. So very strange one by Gats there. And remember as well, I think Rassie tried to bury the hatchet as well. Remember when Gats was starting to lose, etc. People asked him about his relationship with Warren Gatland, and this is what he said.
The warm-up match before the World Cup, and we had a good chat there, about the Lions series, and it's just how coaching becomes lonely and coaching becomes cutthroat, and whenever somebody's under the pump, you know, you don't wish anything bad on that coach. And no, I wouldn't say I would love him to beat us, but I would love him to be successful. And you know, although we bumped some heads in the past, he's a rugby man through and through, and we've certainly had very decent discussions since. And yeah, I've got a lot of respect for him, and I hope he gets the respect from everybody which he deserves.
Rassie is of course known for his innovation from the bomb squad, the 7-1, the disco lights in his Cheetahs era, and a lot of things like that. And yeah, he's not down for but tomfoolery. And I mean, this little gem from Andre Pollard in an interview which he dropped a couple of months ago, which tells you he's got a bit of a playful side as well. And you know what, those are part of the mind games between modern coaches. These things sort of happen. There are serious mind games going on, and any advantage you can get over the others is good. But I think it really stops when it becomes sort of bordering on basically accusing somebody of cheating. And I think unless Gats can put up, I mean, that's going to be one of those stories like Susie in the 95 World Cup final, where the All Blacks, or Laurie Mains claimed they were food poisoned. There's never been any evidence of it. It's become a bit of a folklore, and depending on which side of the debate you're on, you decide whether you believe it or not. But certainly it has become part of the stories about it. Anyway, the series is gone. It's over. Gats lost. He lost the semi-final in 2019. He was very bitter about that. He lost the Lions series. He was bitter about that. And it was a bizarre tour, and not a great tour, to be very honest, in terms of... I've been on other Lions tours, 2009, 97. This was probably the most soulless one we had. So, but yeah, have a listen to what Andre said, about Rassie's antics.
Rassie in the olden days, when I'm talking way back, when he was coaching the Cheetahs, he used to... The boys were going for captains around the morning, and then the opposition will come in the afternoon for captains, and he used to have these fake line-out play sheets. And he'll print them out and just leave them underneath tables and chairs and stuff in the opposition locker room with like the completely wrong line-out calls. And these guys will be studying it, and he'll see in the game, they'll be running it in the warm-up. He'll be like, yeah, I gotcha.
And I think we're going to leave it with Rassie's words to end off this as well. I think he was asked after the Italy game what his thoughts were of the whole thing with Gats, and he said, well, it should stop here. I think it's probably the best, while it's entertaining for a lot of us and we laugh at the memes and we see the little barbs at each other. It's not good for world rugby to have things like this, and especially when it's the allegations that can't be backed up. I think Gats, unfortunately, tends to come across very bitter, and hopefully he finds some peace in his life, and hopefully Rassie's gone on with his life, and at some point Rassie's reign's going to end also at the Springboks, and let's hope that these are the last one. He certainly is a coach, not everybody's favourite coach, but certainly is a coach that's been highly successful and has meant a lot for South Africans as well. So I'll leave you with Rassie's words here. It is in Afrikaans. I'm going to try and translate it there for those who don't understand. But yeah, I think that should be the final word of it. But thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, smash the subscribe button, and leave your comment what you think about the whole storm in a teacup. It's quite interesting. We're going to have some great guests this week. Got Nick Mallet coming back to chat about the first test in Italy, so keep an eye out for that one as well. Speak to you soon, and here's Rassie signing us out.
JT, laaste een?
Rassie, ek wil sommer net vir iets vra, nie oor die wedstryd nie, maar daar's nou baie gesê daar uit die noorde uit oor 2021 se Brits en Ierse leeu's. Ek sien jy het ook iets op Twitter gesit daaroor. Die enige kommentaar op Warren Gatland se aantuiging.
Ja, ek dink dis mense elke storie wat daar buite is, gaan vertel oor moontlike kammersdag goed wat gebeur, en dan gaan daar, en dis ek eintlik maar wil hê moet die vandag stop, want ek wil maar net 'n voorbeeld gebruik. Daar is soveel goed wat mense elke keer hoor van elke oefening wat en ek wil hê die mense met die idee kry, en dis die tipe goed wat agter die skerms aangaan. Ek bedoel, daar is soveel snaakse stories van afrigters wat al ander afrigters probeer uitvang het, en dit is nie 'n nasty ding wat 'n mens so in die koerante gooi op hoor sê nie, want dit creëer net ongemaklikheid en alles so. Ja, ek sal graag wil hê dit moet nou stop, dis nie meer oor praat nie, ek sal dit so verkies.